Rachael Ray has spent decades on television, smiling brightly as she turned simple meals into household favorites. To the world, she seemed untouchable, successful, charismatic, and living the dream life so many admired. But away from the cameras, her personal life tells a story that is far more complicated. Her marriage, long shrouded in speculation, has carried whispers of betrayal, relentless arguments, and a strange kind of loyalty that many would find difficult to understand. Behind the laughter and the recipes lies a truth that has stunned even her most loyal fans. Early life. Rachael Ray was born on August 25, 1968, in Glens Falls, New York, to James Claude Ray and Elsa Providenza Scuderi. Her family background was a rich blend of Sicilian heritage from her mother and French, Scottish, and Welsh ancestry from her father. When she was 8, the family moved to Lake George, a change that would set the stage for her earliest connections to the food business. Her mother, Elsa, worked in restaurant management, and young Rachael grew up watching the bustle of kitchens and dining rooms, absorbing every detail without realizing how important it would later become. During her teenage years, she worked at Sutton's Marketplace in Queensbury, where she began to dream about life on television. She even volunteered for commercials for the store, hinting at the on-screen presence that would one day define her career. After high school, she saved money and set her sights on New York City. By 1995, she found herself working at Macy's Marketplace at the candy counter. But when management began piling on extra tasks beyond her job description, she walked away, seeking something more meaningful. Her next stop was Agata and Valentina, a specialty food store in Manhattan. But the city was exhausting, and the dream of stardom remained just out of reach. By 1996, she gave up her small Manhattan apartment and returned to Lake George. At the time, it seemed like a retreat, but it turned out to be the decision that changed everything. Back home, Rachael managed Mr. Brown's pub at the Sagamore Hotel and later worked as a buyer at Cowan and LaBelle, a gourmet market in Albany. It was here that the idea for 30-minute meals was born. Customers who were intimidated by cooking inspired her to teach quick, approachable recipes. Her local classes grew popular, and soon the CBS affiliate WRGB invited her to host a weekly cooking segment. A radio appearance and a cookbook followed, and by 2001, Food Network signed her to a contract. Her rise had begun, but as her career skyrocketed, her personal life was only beginning to enter the public eye. Within a few short years, she would marry John Cusimano, and what seemed like a fairy tale partnership soon became the subject of endless speculation. By the turn of the new millennium, Rachael Ray was no longer just a regional personality. In 2001, Food Network signed her to a contract, and she launched what would become one of the most recognizable brands in television cooking. Her concept of 30-minute meals became a national sensation, reaching millions of viewers who were hungry for simple, approachable food. For busy families, young professionals, and even people intimidated by the kitchen, she became a household name almost overnight. Her momentum carried her into other ventures. In 2002, she began hosting $40 a Day, a travel and food series that followed her around the country and the world as she tried to eat 3 meals a day on a tight budget. Over the course of 77 episodes, she charmed audiences with her energy and creativity, making food feel accessible in a way that very few TV chefs had achieved before. By 2005, she had launched her magazine, Every Day with Rachael Ray, further cementing her as a media powerhouse. But it wasn't just her career that was changing. In 2001, at a birthday party hosted by a mutual friend, Rachael met John Cusimano. The setting was ordinary, but what happened next would define her private life for decades. John was not only an entertainment lawyer, but also a musician, fronting the rock band The Cringe. Their meeting was almost cinematic, 2 people catching each other's attention in a room full of strangers. John would later joke that at the party, filled with tall people, he and Rachael spotted each other among a sea of knees. Their romance moved quickly. Within 2 years, the couple traveled to Tuscany, Italy, where they were married in 2003 at Castello di Verona. The wedding appeared to be a fairy tale, celebrated against the backdrop of the Italian countryside. Fans saw them as the perfect match. She, a rising television star, and he, a supportive, talented partner with his own creative career. Yet beneath the surface, cracks would soon appear. As Rachael's fame grew, so too did public interest in her private life. Tabloids began to speculate about John, hinting at infidelity and questionable behavior. At first, the whispers were easy to ignore, but as the years went on, the rumors would grow louder, and the marriage that looked so solid from the outside would come under intense scrutiny. From the moment Rachael Ray and John Cusimano exchanged vows in Tuscany, their relationship became a subject of fascination. At first, the story was romantic, a celebrity chef and a musician-turned-lawyer building a life together. But soon, the fairy tale image began to unravel under the harsh light of gossip columns and tabloid stories. By the mid-2000s, rumors of infidelity started to swirl. Some outlets claimed John had been unfaithful with multiple women, including a long-standing affair with someone he allegedly paid for companionship. Other reports painted him as a man who preferred the party scene over a quiet, married life. For most couples, these kinds of accusations might have destroyed everything, but Rachael and John responded with laughter and denial. In a 2007 interview, Rachael even joked that if the number of women linked to her husband were true, there would be at least 6 of them, before insisting she knew where he was every single night. The way they handled their marriage behind closed doors was even more surprising. In 2024, during the first episode of her podcast, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, Rachael admitted that she and John had never enjoyed a moment of peace together. Instead, their relationship was defined by loud, explosive arguments. She insisted that constant shouting matches were completely normal for them, and even healthy. For most couples, this kind of confession would have raised red flags. For Rachael, it was simply the truth. What shocked listeners even more was her description of how they reconciled after fights. Neither of them ever apologized verbally. Instead, they relied on physical gestures. She might kiss his head or he might pat her on the back. In their minds, that was enough. This unusual dynamic, coupled with persistent rumors of infidelity, made their marriage one of the most puzzling celebrity unions in recent memory. For 2 decades, they remained together, dividing their time between homes in New York and Italy. Yet questions never stopped. Why stay in a relationship filled with constant yelling? Why laugh off allegations of betrayal instead of addressing them seriously? Fans were left confused, unsure whether to admire their loyalty or question the very foundation of their bond. The marriage controversies were only one piece of a larger picture. As Rachael's career reached its peak, she also faced sharp criticism from her peers, online communities, and even within her own family, controversies that added even more weight to her already turbulent personal life. While her marriage remained under the microscope, Rachael Ray's professional life was equally stormy. For every fan who adored her quick and cheerful style, there seemed to be another ready to tear her down. The criticism began with her cooking itself. Many professional chefs scoffed at her 30-minute meals concept, insisting that no dish could truly be completed in that time without cutting corners. Detractors pointed out that her recipes ignored prep work, that her eyeballing of measurements was sloppy, and that her casual approach wasn't real cooking. The backlash didn't stop there. Entire websites sprang up dedicated to hating her, including one that bluntly titled itself, "I Despise Rachael Ray." Critics mocked her voice, her catchphrases, and her appearance. Martha Stewart once went on record dismissing her baking skills and criticizing her cookbooks. Anthony Bourdain, Giada De Laurentiis, and Emeril Lagasse all expressed at different points skepticism or frustration with her methods. Even the live tapings of her daytime show drew mixed reviews, with some audience members describing her as moody and disengaged when the cameras weren't rolling. Then came a scandal that shook her credibility: allegations of ghostwriting. By 2012, the New York Times ran a piece exposing that many celebrity chefs were not writing their own cookbooks, and Rachael's name was among them. For someone who had published more than 20 cookbooks and thousands of recipes, this was a heavy blow. She defended herself, insisting she wrote her own material with the help of editors and organizers. Bobby Flay even came to her defense, saying he had personally seen her working on recipes. Still, the damage was done, another dent in her reputation. Adding to the controversy was her public loyalty to disgraced chef Mario Batali. Even after allegations of misconduct ended his career in 2017, Rachael admitted in a 2019 interview that she continued speaking to him and felt he had always treated her fairly. To many fans, this sounded tone-deaf, and the backlash was swift. It painted her as someone out of touch, someone who defended the wrong people at the wrong time. With criticism from colleagues, harsh online campaigns, and professional scandals piling up, the bright and bubbly image of Rachael Ray began to look more fragile. And yet, her greatest challenges were not the ones found in headlines. They were the deeply personal tragedies and family conflicts that unfolded far from the cameras. The story of Rachael Ray's life becomes even darker when you look beyond the controversies of fame and step into the heartbreak of family feuds, personal losses, and tragedies that struck when she least expected them. For all of Rachael Ray's professional noise, her shows, cookbooks, and endorsements, the darkest chapters of her life unfolded quietly, often away from the spotlight. In 2013, tragedy struck her family in a way that left deep scars. Her aunt, Geraldine Dominica Scuderi, was house-sitting at Rachael's home. One winter evening, she stepped outside to feed the birds and accidentally locked herself out. She tried desperately to get back inside, even attempting to break a window. But with the cold air tightening its grip and her lung condition making every breath harder, she collapsed. The next day, she was found dead. The loss itself was devastating, but what followed tore at the family's unity. Some relatives accused Rachael of negligence, claiming her aunt had not been given a spare key and pointing fingers over the circumstances of her death. When Rachael did not attend the funeral, she was working on her show at the time, the bitterness only grew. Her brother defended her, insisting that the anger came from just one cousin, but the damage to the family dynamic was lasting. Personal battles weren't limited to family feuds. In the 1990s, long before her TV fame, Rachael had been mugged twice in 1 week while living in New York City. These incidents left her shaken and wary, yet she rarely spoke of them publicly. In 2008, she faced another health scare when a cyst was discovered on her throat. Rumors quickly spread that she might have cancer, but doctors confirmed it was benign. Even so, the surgery was a reminder that her famously raspy voice carried a physical price. Then came 2020, when disaster struck again. A fire tore through her beloved Adirondack home, destroying not only the house but countless personal memories inside. She and her husband escaped unharmed, but the loss of their home, a place where she had filmed during the pandemic, was crushing. Just a year later, Hurricane Ida brought flooding that severely damaged her newly rebuilt property. Twice in as many years, she watched the walls of her personal life collapse, only to pick up the pieces and begin again. These were not the glamorous struggles of a television star. They were the raw, painful blows of real life. And yet, even as her family fractured, her home burned, and her health faltered, Rachael kept her public smile intact. Few realized how much she was enduring in private while keeping her empire running in front of the cameras. But in recent years, Rachael stopped hiding. Through her podcast and interviews, she revealed startling truths about her marriage, her life without children, and the strange ways she and John Cusimano learned to survive together. After years of silence about her private struggles, Rachael Ray finally opened up in a way no one expected. In September 2024, she launched her podcast, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. From the very first episode, she spoke candidly about the reality of her marriage to John Cusimano. To listeners' surprise, she admitted that their life together had been defined not by peace, but by chaos. She confessed that she and John have never experienced a moment of calm. They shout, they argue, and they clash constantly. To her, this wasn't a sign of failure, but rather the strange rhythm of a relationship that had lasted for more than 20 years. Her description of their communication startled fans even more. They never exchanged apologies in words. Instead, after a fight, one would offer a small physical gesture. She might kiss him on the head, he might pat her on the back, and that was it. For Rachael, that counted as resolution. For outsiders, it sounded like a fragile truce that barely held together a volatile marriage. She also spoke openly about their decision not to have children. Despite constant speculation, Rachael admitted she never believed she could balance motherhood with the demands of her career. She even said there were days she felt like a bad parent to her dog, Isabu, because of her long hours. John, busy with his band The Cringe and his past work as an entertainment lawyer, seemed to accept this choice. Yet the absence of children added another layer of intrigue to their marriage. An unconventional life lived on their own terms, for better or worse. Even her professional reinvention reflected resilience. After ending her long-running talk show in 2023, she founded Free Food Studios, determined to control her own projects. She appeared in new series, lent her voice to animated shows, and continued building her pet food line, Nutrish, despite lawsuits and controversies. Time and again, she pushed forward, refusing to let critics or tragedy end her story. By the time she broke her silence, the picture of Rachael Ray was no longer the cheerful daytime host who made quick meals look easy. She was a woman who had endured family feuds, public backlash, home disasters, and a marriage defined by conflict, yet somehow remained standing. Her revelations shocked fans because they stripped away the polished image and revealed the human beneath. And so, the truth about Rachael Ray's husband and the life they built together was finally laid bare, not as a fairy tale, but as a raw, complicated story of survival. Rachael Ray's story shows that success on screen does not shield anyone from pain behind closed doors. Her marriage to John Cusimano has endured endless rumors, constant arguments, and the weight of public doubt. Yet it has survived in its own complicated way. After years of silence, she has finally revealed a truth that is far less glamorous, but far more human. Do you think Rachael and John's unusual way of handling their marriage is proof of strength, or a sign of deeper problems? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more untold celebrity stories.